I don't know if I should just cut this and start over. This is hilarious. Start streaming. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. I'm actually starting over because I'm not sure if what I taped earlier went through. So, my name is Violet Rivera. I'm a psychologist, and the reason that I make these videos is to help everyone to understand that your mental health and your physical health come together to create that overall feeling of well-being. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to, usually if you watch my videos, you know that I talk about topics related to keto, try to help educate people on how to do the ketogenic lifestyle in a healthy way, and in doing it in a healthy way to improve your health and wellness. Today, what I want to do is talk about my journey through keto. And so I'm going to start this off by sharing some information about myself, what I decide, how I got into the ketogenic lifestyle to begin with. So let's go. So why I started keto, and I'm going to give you more detail on this in a little bit. But basically, I had a hip issue, and my hip issue. So the result is great. The beginning wasn't so great. So let me just start by telling you what happened. Basically, what my life looks like, being a psychologist, is I spend most of my time sitting in an office in front of someone across, talking about life issues that are happening. And on a regular basis, I'm sitting in a chair. And then when I'm not sitting across from someone, I'm sitting at my desk, writing notes, writing reports, filling in paperwork. So what I try to do is spend the other part of my life. So when I'm not at work, I try to my best to be active, to be out there doing things. Now, that means that over the summer, I do a lot of biking, longboard, scooter, trike, rollerblade. I even tried to learn to skate cycle. I'm still working on that. And then in the winter, I like to snowboard and ski. So I try to make balance in my life. Even though I was trying to make balance in my life, over the course of the years, I gained weight. I didn't know, I shouldn't say I didn't know, but on some level, I knew I was overweight, of course. How much weight I had to lose, I feel like I might have not been paying attention to that. So, and we're going to get to that in a moment. So, let's talk about the hip problem. In this situation, so what was happening is that I had stopped sitting with my legs crossed, obviously, because that was becoming excruciating. But the other thing that was happening is that I was constantly changing positions in the chair, trying to be comfortable. Now you could imagine that this disturbed what I was trying to accomplish because I want to focus my attention on my client rather than focusing my attention on myself. So right away, I started to investigate and realize I need to solve this hip issue. Um, well, I didn't investigate right away, actually. What I thought was clearly my hip is hurting me. I kind of made the assumption that it could be because I'm overweight. Like this was my automatic assumption. So, um, one of the things so I just talked about sitting in my office, but the other thing that was happening, sorry, I'm just backing up on my story because I have it written down here. The other thing that happened was that during my ski season, I had difficulty. Um, During this period of time, recognizing that my hip was hurting me, I started to walk more in an effort to try to solve the hip issue. Minutes, I could make it all the way till 5 o'clock. And I could make it to 5 o'clock and do like really well. So that was helping, but the problem was that the hip issue was still there. So it still hurt by the time my day was over. Okay, so in an attempt to lose weight, like I mentioned earlier, I did start walking every morning before work. What I learned actually was I went to a website. I can't remember which website it was. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it again. But in this website, I learned that there's like a positive gain you get from walking up to about 45 minutes, and then you start getting diminishing returns. So I tried to walk 40-ish minutes every morning, and that's where I realized that hours that I was accomplishing. I wasn't losing anything, but I felt better. So because getting through the ski season still meant that, for example, walking through the snow, I was really struggling. And walking like upstairs was still a big deal. While I snowboarded, so with my 2 feet attached to the snowboard, that actually wasn't bad. It was more the upstairs motion, so the kind of lifting yourself up that was hurting, and it was the right hip. And the other thing I noticed was that sleeping was a big deal. Like I couldn't get a comfortable position when I tried to sleep. So eventually I started to investigate what causes inflammation because I kind of figured out, like, after doing some research online, that this is an inflammation problem. So knowing that, and the scientist in me said, well, find out how to solve it. And that's when I learned that you solve inflammation through eliminating carbohydrates. And that was a shocking piece of information to me because I didn't think that was going to be the answer. I also learned eliminating certain oils would help you to solve inflammation. So these basically 2 food answers. I was surprised. So now my research became, what's the best low carb diet I could possibly do? Because if I need to get sugar out of my life, I wanted to like do it in a way that was gonna guarantee that my hip was gonna be healed. Because in my mind, let me just point out, I learned that piece of information. I want to say in March or beginning of March, end of February, and it took me all the way to April 20th to really accept that that was the. But research after research after research kept coming up with the same answer, and I finally accepted, oh my God, it's the sugar that I'm eating. So, on April 20th, 2018, I began a ketogenic lifestyle. So, let me just, I'm going to tell you now, like, what that was like, because that was a very interesting process on its own. You know, just for comparison's sake, too, I want to tell you that when I was trying to lose weight, when I thought it was a weight problem, I took like my fats down really low. I started to eat all these really um, good grains like quinoa, wheat berries. Like I took rice out. Like I had actually focused more on grains, healthy grains that I wanted to focus my life on. So I was doing healthy things. I'm doing a lot of vegetables, um, low fat meat. I really tried my best and I lost nothing. So I just want to point that out because I think it's irrelevant to what I'm about to tell you. So I found the ketogenic lifestyle. I had read that there's going to be a lot of adjustment for your body to do. Can I just say that I think I underestimated what that adjustment was going to look like? So I definitely feel like oh, I'm getting a message that we're lagging. I'm not really sure what I see that my internet seems to be a little slow. Let me just double check here and see if I'm still connected to the correct internet, and it looks like I am. So, oh, now it's back to being good. It's green again. I'm hoping that it's going to stay green. Every once in a while, it seems like my internet is jumping off. You know what I'm going to do? Oh, it's doing it again. Sorry about this, you guys. So part of me wants to know how to solve this situation. I'm not a tech person, I'll be honest with you. So I don't know like how to make this better, except, I mean, I do see that I'm on the correct internet. So theoretically, it should be good. Um, So what I'm noticing is that if I keep that tab open, it seems to do better. So I'm just going to leave that open. Okay, and let me know if it goes wonky again. So I lost my place in the story. So basically, what I did notice is that when I see, this is what happens when you get distracted. Okay, so I started the ketogenic lifestyle, and the first thing that happened was the first 3 days. So the first day was actually great. I actually had no issues. Day 2 and 3 for me were horrendous. And I'll just say it straight out, horrendous. I had so much inflammation that I feel like by taking out I had so much addiction to carbs, and I didn't realize that you could be addicted to carbs, that when I took them out of my life, I had such a big reaction. I had headaches. I felt like I couldn't concentrate. Thank God that I did this close to the weekend, because if I wouldn't have done this close to, I don't know how I would have gotten through my workday. But I did have a really difficult time the second day and the third day. I went online quickly to find out what the heck this was, and I learned about keto flu. And it seemed like the answer was eat more fat. Truthfully, so, and for those of you who don't know what a ketogenic lifestyle is, it's reducing your carbohydrates under 20, eating more protein and fats. And I say more protein, you don't actually technically have to eat more protein. You're just pivoting your protein, so you stay with the amount that you were eating previously, but you're adding fat. I had already committed myself to trying this. So when I went online and they said add more fat, the way that I was feeling, I was like, well, I'm just going to try it, because what the hell, I'm already doing this. So I added more fat. I started to feel better the third day. That second day was just hard, but that's the third day I woke up. I was still not feeling great. By the fourth day, I felt fine. I'm not just that's how quickly my body got adapted. I'm not sure what, but that was my experience. So the one thing that I will say is that I didn't want to go through that again. So once I knew that once I went through that, I knew that I'm going to keep pushing forward and do exactly what I was told to see if this was going to work, because I didn't want to have to redo that part. So here's what happened. Okay, so by April, I would say 3 weeks later, so maybe middle of May or beginning of May, I had already started to feel better. So it was weird, because 3 weeks later, I started to feel better. I had actually lost, at that point, I had lost, how much had I lost? 13.8 pounds, which is not, I mean, it's a good amount of weight to lose in 3 weeks, like, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I didn't look different, but I felt different. Like, I was already walking better. I was already, like, not struggling as much with stairs. So, unfortunately, ski season was already over, so whatever. But I was already starting to feel better. And then what I kind of remember thinking to myself is, for the number of months that I was working really hard to try to lose the weight to try to solve this hip problem, it wasn't the weight. So, and I mean, just the fact that I started to feel better and I was still overweight helped me to see that, yeah, it wasn't the weight. So, anyways, I moved forward. I kept going because I was starting to feel better. By 2 months in, I actually had forgotten why I started. Someone asked me how my hip was, and I had actually forgotten that I had had a hip problem. Like 2 months in, my hip problem wasn't barely showing itself. The only time it showed itself was if I walked up a good number of stairs. So, like, even I have stairs in my home, I was walking up and down the stairs at home and not noticing my hip at all. So again, this is 2 months in after much time of suffering with my hip hurting me. Okay, so let's keep going forward, because there's a lot of things that happened. Now, by 2 months in, I had lost 28.4 pounds. So I actually want to show you guys something that I kind of find interesting, because I have a little chart here just to, so I just want to show you something. Here we go. Okay, can you see that? So this little chart that I'm showing you right here, or sorry, right here, it's a chart of my weight loss. So it's, as you go forward, you see that this is how much I'm losing, so it's going up. And actually, I'm kind of blocking the scale, but it's going from 0 to 70. So you see, I almost make it to 70. Don't know where I almost make it to the 70 line, actually, by the end of it. And what's really interesting for me, anyways, because I wasn't expecting this at all, was the the fact that I reached my weight goal about 5 months into doing my weight loss, or sorry, my ketogenic lifestyle, which wasn't for weight loss. And that's the part that kind of drives me nuts. So, first of all, I was happy. I was in a good relationship. I was doing all the activities I love to do. I was not hindered at all by my weight. And yet, obviously metabolically things were happening that I didn't know about. So if someone would have asked me at the time, "Oh, Violet, do you think you should lose weight?" I would have said no, because I was doing everything I wanted to do. I was in a great relation. I am, not was, I am in a great relationship. So everything was happy and is happy till today. And yet I had weight to lose. So I don't know if any of you guys are seeing like how crazy that is. But to me, I find that that's very interesting. I'm going to go, I kind of have some notes on the graph that I want to show you. So if you look at this graph that I'm going to show you right now. So in this graph, I don't know why my decimal points are not showing, but that's 55.2. So 5 months in, I had lost 55.2 pounds. Again, not even realizing I had that much to lose, but at the same time, in less than half a year, I was at goal, because that was the goal I had set for myself at that point in time. Now, I point out that through doing this lifestyle, I learned some things about what makes a person healthy. The other thing that I learned is that it's not your weight that matters as much as it is your waist to height ratio, that you want your waist to height ratio to be 50% or less. And when I learned that piece of information, I ended up modifying, I'm pointing there because that's what it is in front of me. I ended up modifying this piece of information. So I ended up changing what I was aiming at. So I want to do things that help me to feel good. And if changing the way that I eat means I can do more activities, I'm going to be all on board for that. And so that's what I did. I changed the way I was eating because I wanted to be able to do more activities. So if you're looking at, again, at my graph, next, yeah, there we go, just reconnected. Sorry about that. I don't know why my internet is playing games with me today, but I'm going to continue. So I got to a point in my situation where today I actually work hard to maintain my weight. So I do find like I need to eat quite a bit to be able to maintain. So I want to talk about weight loss now because I feel like that's a lot of what people want to hear about. In 2011, I actually made another concerted effort to lose weight. I started to track my foods, and I never liked the idea of dieting, so all I wanted to do was eat better. So in 2011, what I did was I was very conscious of the foods I was eating. Again, doing low fat, trying to eat healthy, um, not snacking. So I took all my snacks out. I was really just focusing on meals. So breakfast, lunch, supper, that was the way I did it in 2011. And it took 8 months, and I did get to my goal weight. And then the funny thing about that is that in 2011, to get to that, to accomplish that goal, when I looked at my results, I went back and looked at them. I was eating around 1,500 calories on the high end, and I had days where I was low as 800 calories. And so, like my weeks were rounding out um, to be pretty okay, but at the same time, like if you think about 800 calories is not very much. And one of the things that I want people to understand is that, again, back then, if you think about 800 calories not being very much, and that's what I was doing. So I was doing anywhere between 800 and 1,500 and kind of going between there and feeling hungry, which is the part that was frustrating. So when I finally reached my goal, it wasn't possible for me to keep doing that. So what happened is that my weight kind of went back up, and then I'm looking at back at Lose It, and I can see myself struggling and my weight kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down. And eventually, I think 4 or 5 months later, you could see that I stopped tracking and I just kind of gave up. Fast forward, the next big time that I had a weight loss was when I had the next big time that I had a good weight loss was when I bought my house. I had a lot of work to do, and I ended up, wow, I'm seeing again that my, what the heck? Come on, internet. What's going on here? I'm really not sure why my internet keeps jumping off, but I see it. It's jumping on and off. Um, So I apologize for this. I'm really hoping that at least you're staying with me, and because it is coming back. But this is not. I want to give me 1 second. I know I'm not supposed to leave the front of the street, but I'm going to go check my internet. Like, give me 1 second. I cannot see why it's doing this. Okay, so what I did is I just moved the router to see if maybe the router is getting some kind of interference or something. I'm hoping that that's going to solve the problem. I'm sorry. But I keep seeing on my screen it pops up that there's something wrong with my internet. So the next time that I had a huge decrease in weight was in 2000. I think it was, when did I buy my house? 2016, 2015. I can't remember exactly when it was. But I bought my house and I was doing so much work on the house that I really wasn't eating much. And the point I want to make about this was I lost the weight. So I got down to be about exactly the weight that I am right now. And when I got down to that weight, I wasn't happy. Why? Well, the weight loss wasn't uniform. It wasn't a good weight loss. So what ended up happening was that I ended up actually losing muscle, I believe, because I looked sick, to be fair. So again, there have been multiple times in my life where I kind of went down to the weight that I was supposed to be at. Now, what's interesting is that, of course, even after that event, I wasn't working on my house anymore. My weight went back to normal. So one of the things that I want to point out is that when you lose weight, and when you lose weight in a way that's not like a healthy way to lose weight, sometimes what ends up happening is that when you do end up putting it back, and you do end up in a situation where you put back more, which is one of the things that happens to us, right? Because we lose weight and then we go back to eating normally, but our body doesn't have this the kind of space to eat normally in that sense. And so, of course, we end up gaining weight. Okay, so let's get back to my story. 2000 was losing weight. Like, so nowhere near what anybody would call deprived, right? I'm totally eating such a large amount. And then what ends up happening is that I'm able to, in 5 months, get to where I want to be. Okay, great. Let's look at today, how many calories I tend to eat. My normal today is anywhere between 1,600 and 2,200 calories, my normal, on a daily basis. Now, I'm talking about calories just because I really do want people to understand, and just like it's something that gets talked about, even if I think it's the important piece of the puzzle. But when I watch videos of people talking about their weight loss journey and they're trying to restrict their calorie intake while they're doing a ketogenic lifestyle, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that I really was paying zero attention to my calorie intake. I was focused on keeping my carbs under 20. And then everything else was about eating enough to feel full. And it ended up that my calorie count was higher, like way higher than when I was losing weight in the other ways that I lost weight. And yet, I accomplished my goal. Well, it turned into a goal. It wasn't my original goal. I accomplished my hip goal early, and then I ended up accomplishing a weight goal, and then I ended up accomplishing a waist to height ratio goal, all without taking any note of my calories. The only reason I know these numbers is because I went back to check, try to understand what were my calories like, because I see so many people arguing and struggling and fighting about calories. So I went to check to see what were my calories like, and this is what it was for me. Okay, again, why? All of what I'm telling you, and I feel like I'm kind of back and forth. I'm sorry I'm flipping all over the place, but to me, it's such an amazing thing to solve so many issues that have been in my history. So let's talk about all the stuff that I've solved, because not only did I solve my hip issue, fast forward. So you want to talk about non-scale victories? Solve my hip issue. I can't speak, solved my hip issue, solved knee issues that I had, solved back issues that I had, solved the neck issue that I have, that I now understand all of that was inflammation. So these were things that began around 24-ish years old for me, some of them even before that, but I noticed the large amount of them around 24. And fast forward to today, all of this gone. I feel so much better. Okay, some interesting things that happened along the way, because I want to just give you guys some interesting things, because it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were some hiccups. Um, Celeriac, and I don't know if all of you guys know what celeriac is, but it's a vegetable, a root vegetable. And in my process of doing keto at the very beginning, I played with the idea of like, should I replace certain foods? Anybody who's watched my videos now know that I really do say, like, don't try to replace anything. Like, just focus on eating vegetables that are healthy and low glycemic. But in the beginning, I didn't have as much celeriac. I decided to double check. Well, is it just that vegetable or is it all starches? And then I found that so basically it's been like, I don't even know how many, 8 months I haven't touched any starchy vegetable because I seem to have a huge reaction to it. My guess is because my metabolic issues were showing themselves as inflammation. So when I eat these things, I'm woken in the middle of the night with every joint in my body screaming, either struggle or do very well. So I'm getting told that I have some questions to answer. So I'm going to look at those questions in a minute. I just want to get through this. I have like one little bit left to say, which is the fact that, actually I have a little bit more to say, but we'll see how much I get through. I was very surprised in this journey of mine. It's been a year, how not everybody is open-minded. And so there were some people that when they found out what I was doing, gave me a hard time. Actually tried to convince me that I was making a mistake. First of all, I find it interesting that I was already overweight. So if eating what I was going to eat was helping me to lose, I don't know like what I was really risking one way versus the other in terms of like metabolic issues from being overweight versus metabolic issues, right? So like it's a trade sometimes that we have to think about. But I think like it was interesting to me that people had a hard time understanding why I might want to do what I was doing and lose the weight that I was trying to lose, affecting me, etc. So that was something that I had to contend with. I'm sorry I'm looking down, but I'm trying to, there's one picture that I wanted to show you and I can't get it on my screen. I'm trying to get it on my screen. So I'm just looking for it. But that was something that was a bit of a concern, to help people to understand that what I was doing was absolutely healthy and not going to cause me any harm. Um, how I manage holidays. That was another big one. Because I've since doing this, so I started last year April, so I've gone through birthdays and Christmases and all kinds of events, and so figuring out how I could possibly get through a holiday without, um, like eating what everybody else was eating. And I feel like one of the things that's difficult for people to understand is that I'm okay with what I'm eating. And so, like, what that means is that if you're going to ask me to, eat a food that I'm not interested in eating and that is going to cause me to be ill versus not eat anything at all, I'd rather not eat anything at all. To be quite fair, I would rather just eat something healthy that I know I'm going to be okay with. So I think a lot of times people had a hard time believing that I could be at a party or an event and really just be happy not eating anything. The other thing that I thought was interesting, in terms of like my Sundays, so family Sundays is like a family time and we get together every Sunday. And sometimes I again would decide just not to eat that day because maybe I didn't feel like eating what was on the menu. And again, it took a lot of time for people to accept that that was something that I was doing because it was easier for me to do that than to like struggle with food. Or, and I'm saying struggle with food. I'm not really struggling with food, but go with arguing about food, if that makes sense. Okay, so is there anything else I really want to say today? I mean, I did change my mindset a lot. I changed the way that I see snacks, for example. So I no longer um, care about snacks, and I used to love chocolate. Like chocolate was my kryptonite. I used to love it, and somehow I don't care anymore. I feel like one of the great things that keto has given me is this ability to just eat whatever I'm going to eat and not really have to care about what it means to eat a certain way, and not really care, like not have to worry about snacking. Like I don't think about food. And if you think about it, like how many of us can actually say that we don't think about food? That we don't, on one level or another, we don't spend time wondering what's the next thing I'm going to get to eat. And I don't do that anymore. Like I totally don't. Um, so that was the other thing. Non-scale victories. Of course, I can walk without pain. Love that one. Like walking upstairs, downstairs, running. I'm able to do all my sports again. Ski. Well, ski was okay, but like riding my bike, just being able to do everything that I was not able to do, and like sitting in a chair without pain. Non-scale victories. Um, I can fit in clothes that I wasn't able to wear. Like before. You know, like being able to go in the closet and pull things out that you kind of were saying to yourself, I'm not throwing it away because I want to wear it again. And then actually being able to wear it again. Love that part. What else can I do? Let's see. I actually been eating new foods. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I'm like a picky eater, like almost to the scary point of being picky. And yet, I am actually able to eat foods and like new foods and be okay. So that was another thing that I feel like it's kind of cool that I'm no longer like so focused or scared of eating things that, and I say scared, I mean, but yeah, like I feel like I was acting as if these foods were not things that I should have been, or like, anyways, I was a picky eater, and I'm no longer a picky eater, so that's kind of cool. What else can I say? Um, no more inflammation, no more cravings are gone. Yeah, I mentioned that. I still don't like shopping for clothes, but it's easier. I can actually just go buy things like just like buy whatever I want, and most stuff fits me now. That's a nice long non-scale victory. I have 4 flights of stairs to get up to get to my office, and the elevator was out the other day, and I walked up the 4 flights, and I wasn't out of breath. I like that one. And again, another big one for anybody who actually knows me in real life. I have no more like hate of fish. Like I actually eat fish and find it delicious. So again, for anybody who knows me, they know that that's a big win right there. Let me try to take a look at some of these and look at some of the questions that came in to see if there's. I'm trying so hard to get my pictures to show because I actually had some pictures that I wanted to show you guys, but I don't know why it's not showing up in my stream. Um, So I'm gonna read some questions and see like if I can get the pictures to come up after. I'll try. Sorry again. I'm getting told that it's laggy. I know. I'm not 100% sure it's happening again right now as we speak. It's happening again. I can see it. Like it keeps flipping out and then it flips back in. I'm not sure why. Um, someone. So Kim Cole mentioned that you've been keto for 4 months. Let me see if my chat is actually gonna work. Oh yay, it's working. So let me just put the chat up on the screen while I'm reading through some stuff. Um, Mafal Dash. Hi there, Mafal Dash 1. Started 1.5 years ago. My weight goal I reached after 6 months. Congratulations. But I stayed on this healthy way of eating because of all the health benefits. Of course, no migraines. Migraines. I wasn't actually having migraines, but I have heard people mention that they stopped having migraines. So that's another good positive. Call me Aldark. Chocolate is good. Okay. A lot of chocolate for me is so hard. Oh, so people talking about no more snacks. You know, it's okay, it is hard in the beginning. I feel like the longer you do keto, the more you start to recognize that part of the reason that it's hard is because we're so used to just eating all the time that we think about eating, we're planning meals, we make our entire holiday and party scenarios around food. And so what ends up happening is that we're so focused on food that when we're told we can't have it, now all we're focused on is the fact that we can't have it. For me, because this wasn't about food, it was about solving a hip issue, that wasn't even a concern. And I do feel that for all the people that I try to help in transitioning to this way of life, one of the things I always try to help them to see is focus on what you're going to benefit. So focus on feeling healthy. Focus your attention on how do you now feel having started to eat this way. And every person that I was able to help to focus on how they feel since they started to eat this way, the food part of the story kind of drifted away. But when you're so focused on wanting to eat something, so then you start doing this I don't want thing. And of course, if I don't want to give up, I won't, right? So if I don't want to give up chips, if I don't want to give up cookies, then I won't, right? Because that's what's in my head. I'm scared of it. I don't want to feel deprived. I want to be like everybody else. You have to be careful about that kind of thought because everybody else might not be living the pain, the suffering that you happen to be living. And so when I put myself in that situation of saying I want to be like everybody else, then I'm saying that how I currently feel is not as valuable as eating cookies. And am I really willing to say that, right? That's a question mark. I don't know how to say your name. Idamablo? I'm not sure how to say that name. Can wear white skinny jeans confidently. Oh, you were able to wear white jeans. I know, isn't that cool? Like when you can fit back into clothes or even fit into something new that you've never been able to wear before. Like that's so super. Looking there, I was looking to see what was going on the screen. But yeah, it's really cool when you can actually do something and feel comfortable. Summer's coming, and there's a part of me that's wondering, like, will I go swimming now? Like, and not that I didn't go before, but it's like, how will I feel now going? Right? Like, how am I going to feel in my bathing suit? That's a question mark. I haven't been out in like public in a bathing suit in this body yet, so it's going to be interesting. What do you say to people Sorry, what do you say to people missing fruit? So here's the thing. And it took me, like, this was one of the hardest things to learn when I was doing at the research for the ketogenic lifestyle because I did feel that this was something that so many people are going to struggle with fructose. Every time you eat a fruit, so I say typical because avocado doesn't fall into this category, all the other fruits do. Every time you eat a typical fruit, your body is getting about 50-50 sucrose versus glucose versus fructose. And the thing that we need to be careful about is our entire body can metabolize glucose, but only our liver metabolizes fructose. So it becomes really important for each of us to recognize that if I'm going to let myself eat fruit, then my liver is working like double duty. Now, again, if you're doing this once in a while, like if you're having a piece of fruit once a month, let's say, not a big deal. Same way if you have a chocolate bar once a month, it's not a big deal, right? Like if you have anything once a month, it's not a big deal because the other 30 days you're eating well. But if you're having fruit on a regular basis, you need to be conscious of how much glucose and fructose you're taking in. And here's the scary thing. High fructose corn syrup, I did the math on that. I researched the math on that, and it's like 60, I think it's like 65% to 45%, like so glucose versus fructose, but table sugar is 50-50. So we need to be careful. We are eating so many things that has a high fructose content, which means that our liver is being bombarded when we eat those things, and it's harmful to us. So I would suggest to people that absolutely like are feeling like they can't, and again, they can't do without fruit. First, start by talking to yourself differently because you absolutely can. There's no necessity to eat fruit. So I start with that. And then I would take fruit and I would put it into the category of a treat. And I would treat it that way. So that whenever I eat fruit, I know I'm having a treat. And then how often do I let myself have treats? Right? So not usually we don't treat ourselves every day, right? We treat ourselves once in a while. And I would put fruits in that category. Treat yourself once in a while. I would also say you'll do best to stick to berries. They have the lowest sugar content just in general. So sticking to berries will mean that very likely you will have less of an impact on your liver. And at the same time, I would also say no matter what fruit you're eating, weigh it, log it, know how much you ate. I can't stress that one enough. You should always know exactly how much carbohydrates you've ingested. Keeping your carbs under is a mainstay of doing a healthy ketogenic lifestyle. Okay, let me see what other questions I'm being sent. I do have before photos. Like I said, I don't know why they're not working. It's driving me nuts. I don't know. I'm actually looking at the screen right here where the pictures are. I don't know why they're not showing up. If for the life of me, um, the file is there, but local file loop restart play. I mean, I don't know. Sincerely, I don't know what else to do. The file is it's showing as if it's there, but then sincerely, I don't know what to do. I don't know how else to make this work. I wish my tech person could be on the screen, but unfortunately, I don't have another way to make. So I'm sorry. I'm sincerely. It was my goal today to show you guys some before pictures because I've had multiple people challenge me and say like, "Oh, I don't believe that you really." I'm gonna actually try to just cut and paste it again. I'm sorry, copy and paste the link again. Maybe that's what it is, and see like. So I'm gonna hold on, people. I'm gonna try to see can I actually just. No, it won't even let me do that. I have to browse for it, and when I browse for it, I find it, but it doesn't seem to want to work. So I don't know what to tell you. It's being stubborn. I'm sorry. Um, I might. You know what I might do because just because it's not working, but I might afterwards like upload the little. It was a teeny little video I had of like two pictures of myself back and forth, and I'm so frustrated because I really did want to show everybody kind of live with me to get your kind of feedback of like what all of this meant for me in terms of my keto journey, but it's not working. So, anyways, I just tried again. It's not working. Okay, so let's see. What do you say to people missing fruit? I did that one already. Michelle Rob Aubrey Obi asks, my first keto versary is May 10th. Yay, good for you. A1C down from 12.7 to 5.5. Cool. But it has gotten harder the longer I'm in. I don't understand. So, right away when I hear that, my question to you, Michelle, is are you making that mistake of feeling like your calorie count has to be super low? You know, when I hear people saying it's harder, it makes me say harder. Are you saying that you're hungry? So if you're hungry, eat until you're not hungry anymore. So can you follow up with me, Michelle, and tell me, because I'm not really sure I understand. I would like more information about that. But is it because you're hungry? Is it because you feel different than other people? Help me understand that question. I'm throwing it back out to you, Michelle, because I'm not really sure I understand. Cindy, hi, Cindy. She says, could you talk about muscle soreness and intermittent fasting? When I'm sore, I'm hungry more, and I could eat 3,000 calories in one meal. Is that normal? Okay, so like I said, interestingly for me, I did notice that my calorie intake didn't seem to be the big issue as much as it was making sure my carbs were under 20. Now, I'm going to say, if I'm eating 3,000 calories, but there are 300 calories worth of quick things that can put me over, so basically put me in a position where I'm eating enough to keep my body going forward without using any energy from me, of course I won't lose. Okay, so just saying that out loud. I'm in maintenance right now, and it seems like my body can actually use 2,000 calories easily, and I still end up losing, which is, again, you can imagine frustrating, which is why I still do add like keto coffees and this kind of thing. I started to add them more when I was trying to keep myself stable because I found I couldn't stop losing weight. So I actively try to add fat to keep myself stable. It's not the case. Um, not everybody has that story that they have to add fat. So you need to figure out for yourself um, what this is going to look like. So you're talking about muscle soreness. What that makes me think is that, so if you're working out, first of all, if you're working out, it's normal to have muscle soreness. But if you're not working out, then it makes me wonder about your micronutrients. Are you getting all your minerals in, or especially your calcium, potassium, magnesium? I would focus on those. So making sure that you're drinking enough water and getting all those in. You know, a good way to get magnesium, and a lot of people don't know this, but a good way to get magnesium is to soak in Epsom salts bath, because magnesium goes in really well through your skin. Making sure that you keep your salt intake good helps to keep you to hold on to your calcium, magnesium, and potassium. When we flush, um, salt, or we flush also carbs. So with low carb, we lose water, and with water, when we lose water, we lose salt. So flushing carbs and salt can make our micronutrients out of whack. So that might be part of the answer. I would also talk to my doctor if I was sore for too long, just to make sure, are there other things I can do to help with muscle soreness. But again, if you're exercising, part of that might be there, making sure that you're well hydrated. So let me just go back to the question, make sure I answered everything. You're saying you're hungry more. So here's the other thing that I would probably want you to keep in mind is that the psychological versus real hunger. So one of the things that I realized when I did a few fasts was how we are so often psychologically hungry, but because we eat really close to when we feel it, we don't realize that it was a psychological hunger. My story, because I work in an office where I'm often 3 hours before I can eat something, so I'll have like 3 clients in a row. When I started to have the situation, so just go back to my story a bit. When I started this, I was doing 3 meals a day because that's what I was told to do. Lunch, supper, eat until you're full. And then as I went forward, I started to realize that I wasn't hungry for breakfast. So I was doing lunch, supper. So I would bring my lunch with me to work, and then I was doing lunch, supper. So what happened was, during those 3 hour blocks where I was with a client, sometimes I would get hungry. And what I realized was that I would get hungry, and honestly, 5 minutes-ish later, I wasn't hungry anymore. So now you start to learn that you might feel hungry, but you're not, like it's a psychologically hungry because it's time to eat. And so, but in actuality, I wasn't actually hungry. So one of the things that I started to do was drink something. If I felt hungry before I actually ate, I would just drink something to make sure, like, am I really hungry? Because if you drink water or tea or coffee and you're actually hungry, that's not going to stop you from being hungry. You're going to drink it, and then you're going to be hungry anyways. So that was something that I started to do for myself and started to realize that, yes, that was helping me. So it helped me to identify the psychological hunger. So that's the other thing, Cindy, that I would ask you to pay attention to. Is it possible that maybe you're feeling hungry because of your psychological hunger and not necessarily because you're hungry, like a real physical hunger? The other thing, make sure that your fats are enough. So you're saying 3,000 calories. Make sure that you're keeping your carbs under 20 and that those other calories that we're talking about are actually coming from fats. So it's really hard to eat 3,000 calories of. So again, I would be wondering, like if you're eating protein and fat, like the meat with the fat that came along with it, you're eating eggs, for example, or like just good quality um, butter, olive oil, like good quality oils. It's hard to overeat on those things. It's easier to overeat on nuts just because nuts are fun to eat and you're getting a lot of fat in a very small package. So again, I encourage everybody who feels like they're hungry too often, rather than have a snack, have a real meal. If every time you feel hungry and it doesn't go away when you drink some water or whatever, you have a real meal, chances are that you're going to start to teach your body that when it needs energy, rather than push you to eat something, take it from you if you're trying to lose weight. And then like when you're in my situation where you're not trying to lose weight, you're going to eat your meals and help you to not overeat and at the same time to feel satiated. Because I eat meals. I try my best not to snack. So basically, if I am going to have a few nuts or some cheese, I have it with my meal. So it's all part of whatever I'm deciding that's what I'm eating. It's all what I don't eat between meals. Let me take a look here to see. So did that person who asked me the question come back? Michelle. Michelle, please send me the information so I can answer your question better. Was it Michelle? Hold on. No, it wasn't Michelle. It was Cindy, I think. But anyways, when I feel stressed, I want to turn to food. Yeah, that's emotional eating. We all have that on some level, right? And I think what I always try to help people to see is, first of all, if I'm emotional and stressed about something and I go to eat something, the first question you have to ask yourself is eating this going to solve my problem? And it isn't, because you're not hungry. You're feeling stressed. Eating that is going to give you a momentary high, right? Because you're going to get a dopamine hit if it's a sweet, and that's going to feel momentarily good. But the problem with that is that A, it's going to be followed up by you feeling guilty for having eaten whatever you ate. But also B, it's going to be followed up with you feeling like you're not accomplishing the goals that you want to accomplish. But also C, it didn't solve the problem. And you still have to face that problem at some point. So it's really important for you, if you feel like you're chasing food whenever you're trying to solve a problem or whenever you're stressed, or do something else that's stress relieving. Things you could try to do is go for a walk, do some exercise, talk to someone. That's always the best way. Talk to someone, get those ideas out of your head. Don't be alone in your stress or your problems. Make sure that you share it with someone else, whether it's a friend or a family member or a therapist. Like getting those ideas out of your head. I really do push people to work on their mental health, because those are the things that are going to help you to be able to accomplish all the things you're talking about long term. Um, Shamala, hi. Did I miss one? I'm being told I missed one. IDMAP. Any advice for those of us unlucky enough to get the keto rash? You just have to live through it. I'm sorry. That's the unfortunate thing. One of the things that I like to do is I like to use products that are natural. So I really do make an attempt um, to be as healthy as possible. So let's just back up a little bit. The keto rash is basically your body expelling toxins. And so your body has multiple ways to expel toxins. Obviously, we could go to the bathroom, which is the way that most of us enjoy it the most, because then you don't have any repercussions. So you go to the bathroom. But in my skin, it actually it's just a very good oil for your skin, and it does help to clean up. And so I use it after every shower. It keeps your skin nice and soft, and it does help when you have rashes. It helps a lot actually when you have rashes. Beyond that, going to your doctor and but I would personally encourage you to try the castor oil first. I try to buy my castor oil at the health food store because they have better quality. The first one I tried was from the drugstore. Um, Now that I know the difference, when you smell drugstore castor oil, it does not smell fresh compared to when you buy from the health food store, like a reputable brand. It smells really like it's supposed to smell. It doesn't have that rancid smell. So I would really encourage you, if you're going to use castor oil, to go to the health food store. I don't know if coconut oil would help in that story. I've never tried it. So that would be something for me to research. But like I said, I would definitely suggest the castor oil. And unfortunately, I don't know any other solutions that's gonna change that. So I'm Bala, been on keto for 7 months, but couldn't lose weight. I'm 63 from India. My knee pains have gone. Okay, so this is one of these are kind of questions I love because our body is too smart and it won't do things that don't make sense. So, if you start a ketogenic lifestyle and you have pains and issues in your body, getting the carbs out allows your body then to focus on solving problems. So of course it's going to change, it's going to solve the inflammation issue, and it will solve any other metabolic issues that you're having before it's going to focus on weight loss. So Shamala, what I would really suggest to you is keep moving forward, continue to eat low carb. Make sure that, so first of all, make sure that your grams of carbs is under 20. The best way to do this, you need to scale, right? You need a scale, you need to weigh your food and make sure that what you think you're eating is what you're eating. So that's the first thing I'm gonna say to everybody who asks questions about how do I make sure that I'm losing what I'm supposed to lose. I can't know for sure that I'm eating 20 grams of carbs or less unless I weigh what I'm eating. So, because I know how many grams are in an apple because I weigh it, right? And then I know how much is in it. I know how much is in some nuts because I weigh it. I know what's in some salad because I weigh it. So I need to weigh what I'm putting in my food to know what's in it. That's the first thing I'm going to say. And then the second thing, Shamala, that I would say is make sure that you're not doing low fat. So if you're doing low carb, low fat, you're going to be hungry. You're going to end up eating, and then so you come undercutting yourself. So that would be my other suggestion, is just really make sure that you have enough fat in your diet to allow your body to become fat adapted so that then it starts to run on its own fuel. It's only when it's running on its own fuel that you are, so basically, when you eat enough fat and your carbs are low enough and your body makes that shift to running on fat, then you won't be as hungry naturally. Your body will start to pull fat for fuel from you. And so basically, when you do eat, you're eating partially to kind of refill your carb, so your glycogen stores, because we do have glycogen stores and we can refill them through eating. We don't have to, but we can. And so that will refill your glycogen stores and it's going to allow your body to continue to use the fat that you eat, because it's going to use it and then it's going to continue to pull from you. We don't want to overeat the fat, because if I eat enough fat, so that would be the other thing I want to ask you, Shamala, to look at, is it maybe am I overeating on my fat? If I overeat on my fat, then my body has enough to run me for the day, then it won't have a need to pull from me, right? I like to tell people that however much eating before you started a ketogenic lifestyle is how much protein you should be eating once you're going through your ketogenic lifestyle. So you're pivoting on protein, and then you're eating enough fat to feel satiated, but not so much that you're fueling your whole day with what you eat. So we're not doing the lean chicken because that would be not enough fat, but at the same time, we're not putting fat in every single thing, fat bombs or extra, like we're not doing that either, right? So if my meal has just a natural amount of fat on it. So actually, I can tell you for myself. Um, I can actually tell you for myself because I'm going to open my app that I use to monitor my foods. But like again, my numbers are pretty standard, and I'm right now at maintenance numbers. So just for you to see like what a maintenance kind of situation might look like. But it's you're not trying to deprive yourself of food, right? You're trying to eat enough. Okay, so for me on a daily basis, my I'm 90 grams of protein, and 165 grams of fat. So, and that would mean that I would have to weigh those out, right? Because again, I can't tell you off my head how much fat is in like certain things, right? I have to weigh. So I do, and I do. I weigh my food. Okay, let's see. Hi, Pam is jamming. I'm happy you were able to make it to the stream. Let's see. Did you have a question for me? You like the idea of the Epsom salts bath? Oh, so you do soak already. That's terrific. That's great. And thank you for congratulating me on making it to the year. It wasn't that difficult. I'm very happy that I made it. Um, Hi, Deb. Okay, Keto for Deb is here as well. We want to see those before. I know. I'm like so disappointed that I can't figure out how to make it work. If I could figure it out. I'm sorry. Um, am I off? It's showing that I'm there, so it came back. I'm sorry that I can't. Okay. I really wish I could figure out how to make these pictures show. This is driving me nuts. And like, I'm okay. You know what? While I'm talking to you, I'm gonna try one last thing. I'm just gonna try to add the pictures, like if brand new, and see if that's gonna make the picture show. Because sincerely, like, this is like, it's driving me crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna just like I'm talking to you. So Michelle came back, and what she said is harder for me in that my cravings for sweets have increased exponentially. I'm eating plenty of fat and trying to keep carbs very low. Before, no cravings, now unbearable, thanks. Okay. So, if I understand well, what I'm understanding there is that your cravings got more rather than less, which is unusual. What that makes me think is that whatever you're eating right now, so if I'm allowing sweet in, I'm going to keep this cycle going. So I did a few videos where I kind of try to talk about the idea that we have dopamine receptors in our brain that react to sugar. So the first thing I'm going to help you to understand is that if I actually allow myself to eat carbohydrate laden foods, then and Wi-Fi, I did test to make sure this was going to work, and it's not working very well. But actually, I think I have an idea too. Is it back? I'm back. Okay. Thank you. So basically what I'm trying to help people to understand is that if I eat any kind of carb, it stimulates my dopamine pathway. So when you're making your meals, someone who's having a hard time letting go of sweets, I would say then anything that tastes sweet, I would try my best to stay away from those things. And then I would be extra strict with myself about anything that has carbs in it. Because my dopamine pathway doesn't care if it's a chocolate bar or a potato. As long as it's carbs, it's going to stimulate that. That's why, people are so addicted to French fries, because it's not just because French fries taste, baked potato. We have the same reaction to these. I can't give up rice. I can't. When you hear people say, I can't give up, it's because they're addicted to it. And we need to understand that the terminology is interchangeable, because otherwise you'd be able to say, yeah, for sure, no problem. I won't eat that. Right? So I would, Michelle, I would definitely encourage you to step back and look at the foods you're eating and really, again, weigh and measure everything and see, am I actually staying under 20? You might be surprised to find out that maybe you're not, and that's part of what's pushing the cravings. Especially since you're telling me, how long did you say you were doing this? You were doing this, your A1C got better though. But you said the longer so your Ketoversary is May 10th. So yeah, you're coming up on your year. Um, I would definitely suggest for you to maybe like really back up and look at the carbs you're eating and see if you can just guarantee yourself that your carbs are under 20. Okay. The next person I have is Z. I don't know if that's how you say it or if it's Z, 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 or if it's Snore. I'm not really sure what the title is supposed to be. But cravings will go away. Stopping carbs is essentially kicking a drug habit. Give it time. And so I'm assuming that you're replying to Michelle. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Pam is jamming said, Violet, do you have any ideas for brown bag lunches for work that doesn't have to be put in a microwave, other than fish laughing out loud? Um, let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh, that's an interesting question, Pam. Thank you. I like when I'm challenged a little bit. So if I was gonna do a brown bag lunch, I'd probably do deviled eggs could be kind of cool, or any kind of like boiled egg scenario could be kind of cool because you don't have to heat that up. The other thing that I probably would do would be some kind of avocado, something. I personally like to eat avocado with like how do you call those cheese chips? So I make cheese chips, which is basically just putting some cheese in the oven and letting it fry till it gets crispy. So avocado and cheese chips, but that would be kind of heavy on the fat. So that would be like I wouldn't want to have just that for lunch. I probably might put some meat beside that, a meat that I could eat comfortably and feel okay with it. So I mean, chicken salad would be kind of cool there. What else could I do? I think any kind of something salad, so chicken salad, egg salad would be kind of cool there, ham salad. So anything where you're mixing some mayonnaise together with some meats and proteins. Obviously, a nice salad, so a regular salad um, with some meat in it. So Caesar salad with meat in it. I like to play with my meats to be so here. Okay, here's a nice tip. I like to play with my meats when I do a Caesar salad. I don't just do chicken. I also do ground pork and I do sausage. You probably could do ground beef. I don't eat ground beef and red meats for other reasons that have nothing to do with keto. But you probably could put ground beef in there too, or strips of beef in there. I think any kind of salad where you're adding meat to it, or any kind of like mayonnaise type of salad where you can like add your own stuff together. And what's even cool there is that for those of you who do eat small amounts of like for those of you who do like those other vegetables, like I'm trying to think of what's it called, celery, and like I mean, again, you can't put too much of that, but oh, let me think, celery, how many carbs? See, I don't have it. I'd have to wait. See, I went red again. Sorry, let me do this quickly. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm in the situation where I don't tend to eat salads, or sorry, I don't tend to eat lunch, just because I've gotten to the point where I'm not hungry at lunchtime. But when I was eating lunches, a lot of it were things that I could reheat. So because I do have a microwave at work. So for me, I didn't have that situation. But if I was doing cold things, I think that's what I would do. Let me see. Oh, hi, Kai. I want to say hi to my daughter. She just joined the live stream. How are you doing, sweetheart? Um, okay, so I don't know if there's any other questions that are going to be available. I really do wish I was able to show you guys those videos, that little video. But what I'm going to do, maybe this is my kick in the pants to do another live stream, because I really do want to show you guys those pictures. So maybe I'm going to do another live stream, have another topic that I want to talk about, and then I'll at the same time I'll show you my live pictures. Or sorry, my pictures live. So I wanted you guys to know that I do videos every week. So actually, I tend to do 2 videos a week. I do one on Monday, and that one is a straightforward like video about the psychology of keto. I want people to understand that your mental health and your physical health come together for you to live that best life, right? So, and then on Thursday I do a usually, I mean, obviously it's always the same topic. I'm coming up with some new ideas. There's something in the pipeline for you guys, so I'm excited. If it works out, we're gonna have a new themed video for Thursdays. But for right now, please subscribe and share this video. Share my videos. I really do want to ask people when you see videos that you feel are helpful to people who are trying to lose weight, share them. I have no problem with that. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.